Hello, this is Stinger. This is my second tutorial so far, and in this one I'm going to be teaching you how to make textures for the source engine. And by the source engine I mean any source-based game like Counter-Strike, Half-Life 2, Portal, or Team Fortress 2, or any game that's based on the source engine. So, before you go and do anything involving textures, you want to make sure you have the right folders to put all the textures in. Now, to find the correct folder so that the game can actually find your textures later on, you want to go to your computer, local disk C, or wherever you installed Steam to. This might differ. Program files, or just program, or program files x86 in parentheses. It's different for different people, depending on lots of stuff. And you go here and you find a folder called Steam. There, Steam. And in this you go to the folder called Steam Apps, Steam Applications, Steam Apps. And then you go to your username, your Steam login. This folder is very important because this is where all the files for all the mods or games you have on your computer are installed to or imported to. So you basically want to make a shortcut of this folder to your desktop, so that you'll always get to the folder easily and quickly. Now, I'm going to be making my textures for episode 2. This is not necessary. You could basically do it for any other game that source-based game that you have installed, but I'm going to be making it for Ep 2 because I like it. And you go into the episode 2 folder, Half-Life 2 episode 2, and then Ep 2, and in here you find all these strange files. You want to make a new folder called materials, and this is where all the textures that you have made or are making go. So when I open this folder and you make a new folder called, you don't have to have these names, they are in here, you can put whatever you want, but I'm going to be making a new folder called my textures. Yeah, that's nice. And in this folder is where we want to put all the texture files that you've made or are going to make. Now, obviously, when you want to make a texture, you first want to actually make the texture. Now, I don't have a texture, so I'm going to be making it now. You can follow along if you feel like it. But, yeah. So, I'm going to be using Photoshop a lot in this tutorial. So, if you don't have Photoshop, I recommend you get it fired by sorry about that. Now you want to open Photoshop, or whatever editing program you're using. It doesn't actually matter that much, because most editing programs can do the same things. It's just a matter of how advanced they are, or how easy it is to make those things. But I'm going to be using Photoshop because it has nice things that make things easier and quicker, for that matter. So you got Photoshop open, you go to File and New. Now this is very important. The width and height of all your textures, like the size of them, should always be a number that is evenly divisible down to 1, so that it can be either 1 or 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048. You get the idea. These textures are very common in the internet, so yeah, use those, and they can be either square or perfectly rectangular, or at any, as long as all the width and height are at a division by evenly divisible down to 1, it'll work. So I'm just gonna make a square texture of 1024 by 1024. So you type that into the width and height and you click OK. Now you wanna make your actual texture, like paint it. If you're using Microsoft Paint, you would draw your texture, or if you're using something else, you'd wanna start making your textures. I'm gonna make something really simple here, just to show what you can do with it. And I recommend you start with something really simple too. So I'm just gonna make a smiley face here. Yeah, that's good. So now you save this, save as, and my favorite file format of all time is the PNG format, because it saves perfect quality like a bitmap, but it also compresses the file, or not compress, but save it in a cleverer way than bitmap does, so it saves file size a bit. And it supports alpha layers and transparency and all of that stuff. So PNG is basically the perfect format for textures that you always want to use. So yeah, the PNG is the best format, always use it. Now remember that shortcut we made? We're gonna go there, go desktop first and then that shortcut. And episode 2, ep2, materials, and my textures. You want to save this with a name, no spaces in this name, otherwise it won't work. And you save it as a, well, texture underscore 1, texture1.png. That's good. Remember, none of these names have to be the same, but it's good if you have them the same, because then it'll be easier to follow me. Now, for this picture to be able to be readable for the source engine so that you can actually get it into the game, you have to convert it. And this is the part where most people get lost, so follow me like precisely. Open up the internet and Google for VTF space edit, VTFedit, and you can go to NEMS Tools. That's a good website. The first hit on VTFedit, NEMS Tools here, and you can download the installer. It should be right here, installer, and I'll put a link to this website into the video description too. Now you want to save this and you want to install this, but I already have it installed. It should be just like a normal install. Now, once you got VTFedit installed, you right click on your texture.png and open with VTFedit. And if this is not on the list, you click choose default program and you go to VTFedit, and you untick always use this program because you don't want that. Click OK, and it should open with VTFedit. Once it's opened, you'll get this box, and you basically don't want to touch anything here. You can just look at what I have here. These should be all unticked, and these should, no, this one should be, yeah, animated textures, that's good. Just keep all these to what I have, and you don't really need to change that any time unless you're going for the advanced stuff, which I will teach in some later tutorial, like transparency or cool effects. But just click, for now, click OK. And it will load for a bit, and then your texture will open. And the default for these are always good. Just keep them at what they are. And you go to, and now this is the VTF. You go to options and click auto create VMT file. Yeah, so that one's ticked. And while you're at it, go to view and click mask, because you want that tick. That's good for you because it shows transparency in your texture if you're using that. And once you've clicked it, it'll always stay the same. So yeah, make sure that one's at mask. Yeah, auto create VMT file too. And then file, save as, and you want to go to the same folder that you were in, like the My Textures folder where you saved it. You go to that folder, desktop, shortcut, episode 2, ep2, and materials, My Textures. And now you save it with the same name, like texture1, and you click save. and this will create two files for you. One VTF file and one VMT file. Now I'm going to explain what these two actually are. This is also a part that's quite confusing because it's new. A VTF file is the actual picture, the bitmap, the pixel by pixel picture, or not really pixel by pixel, but it's the actual photograph or picture that you're using. And the VMT is the code for the picture. The VMT tells Hammer what this picture is, what its size is, all of that stuff. And you should be able to just go ahead and double click the VMT file and it will open in VTFedit, and you can see all the code for it. You can see lightmap generic. If you're familiar with Hammer Editor, you'll understand that this lightmap is actually the lightmap grid. This tells the engine that this texture will actually have a lightmap and cast shadows and stuff like that. And generic means that there's just nothing special with it. Open brackets, close brackets, and within these there's always a $, or there are multiple attributes. The only attribute that's there right now is the base texture. That's the actual texture, and this texture is pointing to my textures / texture, because that's the folder in your materials and my textures, and the file is texture1.vtf. The .vtf is not there because it's not there and it's not supposed to be there. So that's basically the simplest VMT file you can get. Now, one of the attributes you can add to this is the $SurfaceProp attribute, and you basically go in here and type $SurfaceProp, and then you put a space in, and then you type what you want the surface of it to be like. And this is quite simple actually. If you want the texture to be like glass, you type glass. Simple as that. And if you want it to be like wood, you type wood. And if you want it to be like stone, you type stone. That makes perfect sense. I'll also put a list of all these in the something in my video, right underneath the video. I can't remember the name for some reason. Yeah. Now I'm gonna have this be glass. Glass, that's nice. So when you shoot it at it, it will like crack. And then you Control S to save it, and then you can just close that. And now, in fact, this texture will work. So I'm gonna open up Hammer Editor to show you that it actually does. So I just made this simple test map, and we're gonna try to find the texture. So we browse for texture_1, and instantly you'll find the texture here. Now in this picture it will look a bit messed up, but that's no problem. So you just make a block and your texture should work. And if this doesn't, watch the tutorial again, and or if it still doesn't work, ask me, like with YouTube or something. But yeah, congratulations on making your first